You just suggested watching other content creators. I follow Blockchain Backer, and he says XRP will never reach $1,000, let alone $100. Why is he wrong? I think Blockchain Backer is brilliant. He stays in his lane. He keeps blinders on. I can tell you at the first XRP Vegas that I met him at, he didn't know any other people that were on YouTube. He doesn't watch other people. He doesn't take outside information. He just stays in his lane of competency, and that's where he operates. And so that would be where I would say maybe I'm sure he hears this other stuff. I mean, he's alluded to it in some of his videos and other things. Everybody's entitled to their opinion on stuff. And to be honest, he's been pretty spot on with all of his calls up to this point. Now, previous performance doesn't predict, future performance. We talk about that in all the financial products that we talk about, and there's a lot of people talking about MicroStrategy and Bitcoin and all these other things. What I would say is market dynamics shift, constraints change, and if you're not looking at the whole picture, it would be difficult to come to the same conclusions that I am. If you were only basing your outlook on previous chart movements, which is what Blockchain Backer does. The other thing I would say about BCB is I would love to see him use a logarithmic chart and go back to the move that we saw in 2017, 2018 for XRP, and then just factor that into his thesis of where we could go from here. He normally looks at linear charts. I haven't ever seen him pull up a logarithmic chart on his channel. And again, it's worked great for him. So I'm not knocking his sauce. Like, what he's doing is working. So I would just say that there are constraints outside of his control that may adjust market infrastructure and movement that he may not be factoring into his thesis. And I do think a lot of people, if we did see a move up to $10 to $13, would probably sell their XRP. I know he would. He would take 65% off the table, which, again, nothing wrong with that. But he does say he always leaves a moon bag, because he's like, I've missed moves before. And he'll tell you that on his channel. He's like, look, I've learned to not take all of it off the table, because there's situations in the past where I thought it was the top and it kept going. So I think he's probably going to be in that camp on this go too. He's positioned himself exceptionally well with the recent action in the market over the last year. He's called that almost perfectly. And